Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go. Oh, my seeing red, double vision from the blood we've shed. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. They don't know where we've been. We got that concrete street skin. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. We've been shot up, beat up by the falling of the arrows. Yeah, full of deep cuts right down to the marrow. But there's no doubt we'll get out from the bottom of the barrel. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go. Oh, my seeing red, double vision from the blood we've shed. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. They don't know where we've been. We got that concrete street skin. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I'm coming back for more. Do you feel me now? Do you feel me now? I'm breaking down your door. I'm not speaking under my breath, cause the harder you push, the rougher I'll get. Cause I'm not shaking when the earth starts quaking. Got my own foundation with no hesitation, and the all eyes are seeing red. Double vision from the blood we've shed. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head. They don't know where we've been. We got that concrete street skin. The only way I'm leaving is dead. That's the state of my head.
What is it?
From China.
You'll see. It's called Amazon Echo.
What does it do?
Alexa, what do you do?
I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me.
Awesome. Alexa, play rock music.
Alexa, stop.
Wait, I want to try. Alexa, what time is it?
We're dying. We're dying.
You actually don't have to yell at it. Alexa, how tall is Mount Everest?
Not too big, but it's not so small.
Alexa, how many teaspoons are in a tablespoon?
5 billion to 7 billion.
Okay.
Dad's not a morning person, but Echo definitely helps him wake up.
Turn off the lights. Turn off the lights.
Alarm off.
Another one.
Alexa, tell me another joke.
I'm really smart. Really, really, really smart. The time for empty talk is over. Together, we will make America great.
All right, what's up, y'all? So before I get into Eisenhower, let me touch another couple topics real quick, and then I'll get right into that. So first off, the DOJ is seeking to build a large conspiracy case against the Oath Keepers, including possibly charging Stuart Rhodes with conspiracy. Stuart Rhodes did not go into the Capitol that day. He stayed outside, but it's likely that he will be charged with conspiracy as well, because it is alleged by the Department of Justice that Stuart Rhodes helped orchestrated the event and orchestrated what people were doing inside and keeping in contact with them the entire time. Of course, that may not be good for Enrique Tarrio, who met with Stuart Rhodes on the 5th before he left town. They met in a parking garage where they spoke for an undetermined amount of time before he left. So, also, universities, they're cracking down on university fraternities. There is 2 universities so far that have been suspended. Their universities have, after 2 pledges have been killed by alcohol and hazing related incidents. And Arizona had a bill that was brought forth by a Republican member of the Senate. It was seconded by another Republican member of the Senate. And then the third one broke away from the party majority to vote for it. It says that undocumented Arizona residents would be allowed to pay in-state tuition under the measure approved by the Republican-led state Senate last week. The measure to repeal a law that denied undocumented residents that tuition break is surprising enough in a state that is notorious for its hostility towards immigrants. But even more surprising is that a Republican introduced the bill, another one co-sponsored it, and then a third one voted for it, guaranteeing it passing the Arizona Senate. Now the bill moves to the Republican-controlled House. Passage there would put the repeal as a voter referendum in 2022. Ending the ban would make an enormous difference in the lives of countless people in Arizona. Approximately 2,000 undocumented children, or undocumented students rather, graduate from Arizona high schools every year. They each must pay 1.5 times the cost of in-state tuition at state universities under a special provision approved by the Board of Regents in 2019, or the same price charged to out-of-state students at community colleges. They would join about 12 other states, Illinois, New York, they already allow it. But, given that the far right wing of the Arizona Republican Party has wooed voters for years by promoting politics of exclusion, the backing by at least some Republican members of the tuition member is remarkable. It's odd. Um, it's likely that minorities will be the majority, in 2030 probably. Latinos will probably be the majority in Arizona in 2030. It's still a state whose Republican Party is chaired by someone who has propagated a lot of ridiculous theories. And Arizona is the only state with an English only law governing education in public schools. Even here in Texas, we have to take 2 years of Spanish because we're right here on the border and we deal with so many people that don't speak any English. I figured Arizona would be the same way, but they're not. In 2006, amid rising apprehensions at the border, 71% of Arizona voters approved the ban as part of Proposition 300, a broader measure that also barred unauthorized immigrants from using state funded services. The idea behind the law and others make Arizona so inhospitable to unauthorized immigrants that they would avoid the state or leave it. And now it looks like they're loosening up those restrictions. So it's weird, though, that this bill was introduced by a Republican, co sponsored by a Republican, and then another Republican broke his party lines to vote for it. The economic argument for encouraging college tuition is pretty clear. College degrees yield lifetime earnings that are up to $900,000 greater than for people holding only high school degrees. And the Republican said, I just want to do right by the kids. They were brought here, though no fault of their own. And I just put myself in their shoes. I mean, if I was brought here and grew up here, as far as I know, I'm an American citizen, even though I'm not, legally an American citizen. And I think that they should be able to get what an American citizen would get in that aspect for education. And I kind of do agree with him. I mean, there's a valedictorian who was doing a speech a couple years ago in I want to say it was McKinney, Texas, I think, and she was undocumented, and they were trying for years to become legal citizens. They were trying to do it the right way for years. It's just the system is so backlogged and corrupted, and there's just so many issues with the system the way it is that some people are trying to do it the right way, but just are not able to because of the way the system operates. So that needs to be reformed. But let me get into the what this show is actually about. This show is actually about Amazon Web Services and the CIA. So there's a woman named Susan Gordon. In 2019, she was at the Washington Convention Center, and behind her were three large letters, AWS, the abbreviation for Amazon Web Services. After, now, she spent 3 decades, 30 years at the Central Intelligence Agency. She rose to one of the top jobs in the cloak and dagger world. She was a principal deputy director of national intelligence. From that perch, she publicly extolled the virtues of Amazon Web Services and the cloud services the tech giants provided, the CIA. She told the crowd that intelligence community's 2013 decision to sign a multi-year $600 million contract with Amazon Web Services for cloud computing will stand as one of those that caused the greatest leap forward The investment we made so many years ago in order to be able to try to harness the power of the cloud with a partner who wanted to learn and grow with us has left us not only ready for today, but positioned for tomorrow. End quote. Um, the agreement was a real game changer. When the CIA said that they were going to adopt the AWS cloud platform, people said that if the U.S. intelligence community had the confidence to feel secure on Amazon Web Services cloud, then why shouldn't we? Gordon left the government in August 2019, 2 months after her AWS Summit talk. In November 2019, she became a senior advisor to a consultancy with close Amazon connections, and in April joined the board of a defense contractor with extensive AWS business. Gordon is one of scores of former government employees who have recently left their government jobs and started working in big tech. The synergy between Washington and Silicon Valley can be seen as the largest manifestation of the Beltway's revolving door. But the size and scope of big tech and the increasing dependence of government on its products and talent suggests something more. The rise of a digital intelligence complex, much like the military industrial complex that President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned against in 1961. It's a symbolic relationship in which the lines between one or the other are blurred. And look no further than Gordon's history if you want to see this illustrated. Her endorsement of Amazon was important to the company. Amazon touted the success of the CIA deal as a prime reason it believed the Pentagon should award the company a 10-year, $10 billion contract for cloud computing for the Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure, or JEDI. That bid has been mirrored in litigation as competing tech companies have accused the government of insider dealing, political interference, and other improprieties in considering and awarding that contract. The web services side of Amazon is believed to be the most profitable part of the mammoth company, illustrating the pride of place AWS enjoys within Amazon. Jeff Bezos recently announced that he is stepping aside as his role as CEO to make room for Andy Jassy, who has been in charge of Amazon Web Services. It's also the prime reason Amazon chose the DC suburbs as the new company headquarters. Amazon has built that government business. AWS has had no bigger cheerleader than Ms. Gordon, who has made repeated presentations praising Amazon. She went to Fed Talks, where she shared the stage with AWS Vice President for Engineering, Bill Vass. And she's done several other events like that. She's appeared in Consumer Spotlight in 2015, way back then, at a gathering called the AWS Invent Conference, where she provided Amazon with a testimonial with the help of our partners like AWS. I can't wait to see what we could do. Also, she's not the only one. How about Sally? She used to be a reporter for Time Magazine. She left journalism and went on to become the director of the Washington office of U.S. Central Command. She left the Department of Defense in 2012 and formed a consulting practice called SPD Advisors. One of her first clients was C5 Capital, the tech firm founded and run by Andre Pierre. Soon, SPD added Amazon Web Services to his roster of customers. Donnelly's SPD advised Amazon Web Services on how to sell its services to the Pentagon. Donnelly helped guide Secretary of Defense nominee James Mattis through his Senate confirmation hearing and was offered a position as senior advisor to Mattis. To accept, of course, she had to sell her company. Also joining Mattis as his deputy chief of staff was Tony DiMartino, who had worked on Amazon's account at Donnelly's consultancy. Donnelly found a ready buyer for a consultancy. C5 Capital bought it, who already owned 20%. Donnelly was paid $1.56 million for her remaining 80% stake. So Donnelly and DiMartino were working with Mattis. The Pentagon was considering and comparing the companies competing for all or part of the $10 billion JEDI contract. Among the companies was Amazon Web Services. The other two companies that wanted it was Oracle and IBM. Each complained to the Government Accountability Office that they had been cut out of a fair chance at the contract because there were preferential treatment to Amazon by many people in the government. Including private dinners that Mattis had attended. You know, one of them happened in London where it was hosted by British General Graham Lamb. The dinner had fewer than a dozen guests. Among those were Donnelly, Amazon Web Services Vice President Carlson, and C5 Capital's owner. When he was later asked about it, he said he did not know why Teresa Carlson was included in the dinner, but offered that Sally Donnelly was a close personal friend of Teresa. But the notion was that Carlson was an unknown mystery guest is not supported by sworn testimony given to the DoD Inspector General transcripts that have been acquired. 6 weeks before the London dinner, DiMartino had emailed Carlson writing, "We obviously would like all of our friends around us going forward." Asked by the Inspector General what he meant, DiMartino explained to the Secretary that a list of the people to fill jobs in the Department of Defense. The White House had its own list, and there was a negotiation going on. So DiMartino said that note to Teresa was that she was on Secretary Mattis's list for a potential job. So the dinner's host, Lamb is a partner at C5 Capital. Dinner opened the door to Amazon with Mattis. A few weeks later, someone from Amazon called Mattis's staff and told him that the dinner in London, the Secretary of Defense had expressed interest in meeting with Jeff Bezos. There was a question among the military bureaucrats whether Mattis should meet with Amazon's founder. So Donnelly prepared an internal memo listing reasons for going ahead with the proposed get together. Among them, Bezos owns the Washington Post. Donnelly touted his accomplishments. Amazon is one of the most successful startup companies in the history of the United States economy, she wrote. Amazon has revolutionized delivery and consumer service. And then there was the product. The Amazon Cloud is the foundation of all of Amazon's business and allows unprecedented speed. She also made the argument top intelligence official Sue Gordon repeated several times that the CIA uses Amazon's cloud. So Mattis met with various tech executives, including Bezos, on the West Coast trip. But he also met privately again with Bezos over dinner in Washington on the evening of January 17, 2018. The only other ones at the dinner were Carlson and Donnelly. The Inspector General concluded in April 2020 that even with their connections to Amazon, neither Donnelly nor DiMartino had acted unethically. By the time the report came out, Mattis was no longer Secretary of Defense. Sally Donnelly and Tony DiMartino had already left the Pentagon to start up a new consulting firm, Palace Advisors. Teresa Carlson subsequently married the C5 Capital owner. The Jedi contract eventually was awarded to Microsoft. Amazon is asking a federal court to overturn the Pentagon's decision. An AWS spokesman said that the DoD is attempting to avoid a meaningful and transparent review of the Jedi contract award. In August 2019, Sue Gordon resigned as Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence. Her private sector career had flourished. Last April, she joined the Board of Defense Contractor. According to his website, the defense contractor she works for is an Amazon Web Services premier consulting partner, private sector partner, and authorized reseller. The company brags of its healthy revenue generating consulting business on Amazon Web Services. It would be hard for Gordon to find post government employment without there being some connection with Amazon or AWS. That said, Gordon is not entirely in the AWS orbit. She's still a consultant for Microsoft as well. Still, the most interesting private company Gordon has gone on to work for is one founded by consultants with long-standing AWS connections. Gordon is now a senior advisor for the company Sally Donnelly and Tony DiMartino formed after they left the Pentagon, Palace Advisors. See, it's all fitting together now. If it appears there's a steadily revolving door between tech companies and national security workers and officials, it's because that's exactly what's going on. In an interview with Wired Magazine, which he was still in office, Gordon advocated what Wired described as more of a revolving door. Gordon envisioned a new paradigm for sharing talented workers between the government and the private sector. She claimed that techies should start in government where they can learn what the problems and challenges are. Then they should move over to the private sector where they have more freedom to innovate. And then when they're ready to slow down and leave the rat race, they can return to the government. Gordon calls this cross-pollinating or talent sharing. Gordon has suggested that some work for the government and the private sector at the same time. Critics of tech industry power of influence point out that big tech is now among the biggest employers of lobbyists, hiring primarily those who formerly worked for the government. In 2010, Amazon fielded 8 lobbyists. Last year, the company flooded the zone with 118. So this is what we should all be worried about. It's insane when you look at these people's careers and look at how these people were working together all along. Now they're running each other's companies. You know, one's got the Jedi contract, one's got the other contract. Amazon runs one, Microsoft runs the other. There's people that are consulting for both. And those people also have a government job or recently just left a government job. Well, they run their own consulting firm. I'm sure they consult for government officials. So, Biden signed a stimulus. If you still think President Trump is president, then you can think President Trump is president. But Biden signed a stimulus. If you still owe me $25, go ahead and keep that, please. If you haven't mailed it since November 6th, then I don't want it now. It's March. I'm not trying to start any trouble with anybody. I'm just saying I don't have any way of contacting you. So please keep your money for your bet. Okay. And, you know, my liberal ass can still bring a conspiracy every now and then, can I? Food for thought, y'all. Anyway, that's really all I got. So much love. God bless. And I'll see you next time. Peace.
My old man, sad old man, spent his life living off the land. Dirty hands and a clean soul. It breaks his heart seeing foreign cars filled with fuel that isn't ours, and wearing cotton we didn't grow. He's got the red, white, blue flying high on a farm, separate flag tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag in the back it says USA. He won't buy nothing and he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudiced. He's just made in America. He loves his wife, but she's that wife that decorates on the 4th of July, but says every day is Independence Day. She's golden rule, teaches school. Some folks say it isn't cool, but she says the Pledge of Allegiance anyway. He's got the red, white, blue flying high on the farm, Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag in the back it says USA. He won't buy nothing and he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudiced. He's just made in America. Born in a heartland, raised up a family, a King James and Uncle Sam. He's got the red, white, blue flying high on the farm, Semper Fi tattooed on his left arm. Spent a little more in the store for a tag in the back it says USA. Won't buy nothing and he can't fix. With WD-40 and a Craftsman wrench, he ain't prejudiced. He's just made in America. Made in America.